Hello everyone, my name is Nunzio Presta and I'm the founder and CEO of BizOn, an online marketplace where people can buy, sell, and grow businesses or franchises every day, ideally in the micro market. So we're talking about small mom and pop shops, valuations under 5 million. I've been doing this for, since the lockdown started, chatting with, the best in business, bright minds, strong leaders. And the general theme is, we can't control the timeline of this thing, but we can control the outcome. So the goal with these Instagram live chats is to basically stay informed, stay positive, to help each other. And today I'm extremely excited to chat with another strong, inspiring leader. And I know you'll all learn tons from him. So let me introduce you to him. His name is Brody-Waite. Michael is an award-winning CEO, tech startup entrepreneur, and recovering drug addict. In 2009, he left a Fortune 50 company to start and lead InQuicker, a healthcare SaaS company that allows patients to self-schedule appointments. His leadership grew the organization from 2 employees to 50 employees with 20,000% revenue growth in less than 6 years. This exceptional growth landed InQuicker a spot on the Inc. 500 list of fastest growing private companies, and in 2015, InQuicker was sold to a publicly traded company. In the time since InQuicker went public, Michael has made a name for himself as an untraditional leadership coach. So I'm extremely excited to invite him in on this conversation, ask him a few questions, we'll see how it goes. Hey Michael, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. Stuck in this house.
Yeah, man. No, I'm just outside with a bunch of people, hanging out.
Nice. Well, thanks for joining us today. I'm super excited to talk with you. Read up on your background. It's super exciting, and I'm very, very fascinated with this whole mastery program. So I have a couple questions here. Want to kick it off, want to learn more. And the goal is just to provide as much value to the listeners. And a majority of our listeners are those small business owners, those leaders, those managers, those entrepreneurs. So they're definitely going to be taking notes today. Awesome. The first question I have for you, Michael, was digging in and I noticed your book is called Great Leaders Live Like Drug Addicts. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that book's all about?
Oh, is that weird? Is that polarizing? I didn't know that. No. So what it is, it's a double entendre. And so it has 2 different meanings. And it means that when I look at the great leaders in our past that really were obsessed with controlling perception, managing outcomes, fixing, managing, controlling, to me, they look a lot like drug addicts and active addiction. And when I think about the new generation of great leaders that are going to be in our future, I think they'll lead in a fundamentally different way. I think that they will lead with vulnerability and authenticity. And I think that where the people that are trained to learn how to be authentic and vulnerable the most are recovering drug addicts. So the new leaders are going to look like drug addicts. So they both look like drug addicts. Just one's in active addiction, another one's in recovery.
Interesting. That's an interesting perspective, and I get where that's going. So now a little bit more about your story. How did you go from being an addict to a CEO?
Definitely didn't expect it to happen, but so at the age of 23, I was basically homeless, throwing up blood, addicted to alcohol and drugs. I've been kicked out of my home, kicked out of my college, kicked out of my house. Well, I already said that, home and house, but out of my job. My car was repossessed, and I thought I was just going to be dead. I thought that I would just die before my 30th birthday, and then the last ditch effort to not die, I went to rehab.
Wow.
And September 1st, 2002, I woke up in rehab. I've been clean every day since. And I learned how to do recovery, and I was introduced to a 12-step program. And that allowed me to turn my life around. But the really unexpected surprise was that over the course of my 17 years clean, I was able to take something that's been working for 80 years, millions of addicts all around the world, that helps them recover from addiction, turn it into a specific leadership system that can teach anyone how to be truly great. And I did that first as a temporary rep at a kiosk in a mall for a Fortune 50 company and working at a retailer called Sam Goody that sold this thing called CDs that I'm sure nobody remembers what the heck those were. And then I parlayed that into a career at a Fortune 50 company where I was a corporate leader with no college degree, but I had a $250 million budget and 19 direct reports. And then at the height of the recession in the US, with no investors, with no experience, I maxed out my credit card, withdrew from my bank account, and launched a startup called InQuicker with the mission to reinvent access to healthcare by allowing any patient to make an appointment from a mobile device in 30 seconds or less. And then sold that company after it became an Inc. 500 company in 2015 to a public company, and then started running a nonprofit that had helped me, that helps 2,000 entrepreneurs a year create, launch, and grow a business. And now throughout that entire experience, I went from an addict that was using these principles just to live to using these principles in this system to excel at every level from a leadership perspective. And now my mission is to unlock that secret for everybody else, and they don't have to be an addict. Anybody can benefit from the system.
And that's so interesting because I love that evolution. And the I guess the theme that keeps popping into my head is you're in survival mode, right? You're evolving, you're growing, and you're surviving. And it's evolved into such an inspiring leader today, right? So that's amazing. Now, were most of those the motives for writing this book, or like why did you decide to write that book or this book?
So for me, here's how the evolution was. First, I learned how to use this system and these principles to not die. Check.
Yeah.
Then in 8 years in corporate America, I have to practice them because I'll die if I don't. They make me an outsider. They also get promoted 8 times in 8 years. And I go, whoa, I have a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
Then when I start my company, I say, what if I had an entire company that had what we call a mask-free culture, where everybody could unleash their full potential as their true selves and not hide who they were and use these principles. And when that was so successful, after I sold it, I was like, dude, how can I share this with other people? And that's when I did my TED Talk, Great Leaders Do What Drug Addicts Do, in 2018. And I went up there on flip-flops talking about being a drug addict. I thought nobody would care. And now it's got over 1.5 million views. And I will tell you, when I got up on that stage, I was scared. I'm a public speaker that gets scared to speak publicly. So that's a whole other thing, but I do it. But I was scared. A forum, but I messages from leaders in over 25 saying that they want to learn how to practice these principles individually and as a competitive advantage for companies. And so I was like, okay, wait a second, we have something here, and I want people to be able to use this methodology, addict or not, leader or not, but I needed to distill it down into a very potent form that's really easy to use in a step-by-step form, because to me, everybody's talking about authentic leadership. It's just a bunch of inspirational bullshit. Like, it's great, but it's inspiration. It's not implementation. And what I learned in a 12-step program was you can create a step-by-step framework that can allow anyone at any level of education, any background, any country, any language, any city in this world, stop using drugs every single day and find a new way to live. If we can use a step-by-step system that changes that behavior, what if we took that model and applied it to all the leaders that wear masks and hide their true selves as a leader? And to me, the big thing that's missing in the narrative around authentic leadership is the how. And so that's why I wrote the book. I'm very grateful to my predecessors that have done research and talked about authentic leadership, but I wanted a step-by-step, you can execute this and it will happen and you don't have to worry about it framework. And that's why we wrote the book.
That's awesome. And well, you answered my next question as well. What exactly is a mask-free program? But in summary, it's these steps to actually inspire leaders on the how and to be authentic, to reveal their true selves, right?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah. So what you learn in the book and what the mastery program does is first you learn the mastery system, and what the book does is it takes you through the three principles in a step-by-step framework, and it gives you a 28-day mask-free action plan that you only need to execute in 1 minute a day. And so our current saying is 1 minute a day, and we've done the research to understand this, will save you 500 hours a year, because people waste 500 hours a year hiding their true selves. And we can talk about the 4 masks that they hide behind in a minute. But it's basically a 28-day plan that they can execute in 1 minute a day. But what I say in the book is this book isn't enough. What you need in addition to the system is you need a mask-free sponsor, someone who has worked the system that is willing to guide you through it and share their experience. And then you need to be part of a mask-free society, a group full of people also with a mask-free action plan and a mask-free sponsor, because those are the 3 legs of the stool that make 12-step programs so successful. And I think we are just as addicted to hiding our true selves as leaders as addicts are to dope. So I took the 3 legs of the stool, adapted it for this program, and I've not only outlined that in the book, but I have built a mastery program where we have mastery sponsors and we have mastery societies.
Love that. And that just basically accelerates accountability for everyone in the community, right? Because it's one, like you said, it's one thing to say, it's another thing to do, right? So I love that. Now, obviously talking with the current pandemic here, do you think leaders are putting their masks, do you think leaders are leading towards putting their masks back on during pandemics such as COVID? Like how do you see that working with potentially leaders that have embraced the mask free, but now they're putting it back on because of the uncertainty and the craziness of this pandemic? Like how's that?
Let's acknowledge the weirdness that we created this mask-free movement before the pandemic. And so we're encouraging people to take their masks off while physically we're being encouraged to put masks on. So it's an interesting. Actually, someone sent me a message over Facebook group that's like, why are you trying to kill people? And I was like, what? And they're like, your mask off. I'm like, dude, figuratively, we've been doing this for years. And anyhow, so for this is what I've observed through different organizations that I work with and people that I'm talking to. At the beginning, a lot of leaders were not, so there are 4 masks and one of them is hiding a weakness. And they were not willing to admit that they didn't know what to do. Like nobody knows what to do. Like nobody knows what to do. So at first they would flex and try to think that if I'm the leader, I need to have the answers. For my team, I'm the founder of the Mask Free movement, and I felt that way. And I was scared to tell my team I didn't know what to do. And so I think that initially you see people out of fear that you're a bad leader if you don't have the answer. I think a great leader, they don't have the answer, because that's leading yourself. So we saw people wearing masks more then, but the really interesting thing that I think has happened is the level of pressure externally to every individual and organization that's going on right now. I've seen a lot of leaders, like our movement is growing so fast because I've seen a lot of leaders lean into taking their masks off once they overcame that hurdle of trying to pretend they had everything figured out. And I know leaders that would have that stiff upper lip that are crying in front of their teams about the challenges, talking about their personal financial challenges as they work through things with their teams. So I see a lot of people taking their mask off as leaders that normally wouldn't, because these conditions are kind of forcing them to get really real. And the really thing that's cool is they'll be so surprised at the response from their team.
Yeah.
Like the team, like we all want to be led by a human, not a robot, dude. Like, thank you for showing me your humanity, because now I can connect with you as my leader. And now I actually, if you are able to say you don't have the answers and I follow you and you figure it out, now I have so much more trust in you as a leader. People are dying for this stuff. And so we're seeing positive outcomes. Actually, I think this pandemic has really helped in a lot of ways.
Obviously, no, I agree with you. I think there's sorry.
We have politicians that are wearing masks and all that kind of stuff. I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah. But, back on your point, I do believe that, the best leaders empower their their team with brutal honesty, right? And I've had fabulous conversations with strong leaders, and I think once again the theme is these best leaders, they embrace the fact that they don't know all the answers right now, that this is new territory for them, and instead of just making top level decisions, they empower their team and their organization, and they lean on their team and organization saying, hey, can we figure this out together? How can we be creative? How can we get through this together? Right. So you're absolutely right. Now, have you found, and I think you answered it a little bit, but just to dive a little bit deeper, have you found that that your Mastery program is resonating with a lot more leaders now that the pandemic hit more than before? Yeah.
Yeah. I just, so here's the deal. So when we wear a mask, we really hurt ourselves. Okay. We cost ourselves 500 hours a year in terms of time, saying yes to things that we could say no to, hiding our weaknesses, avoiding difficult conversations, and holding back our unique perspective. Those are the 4 masks that are holding back every individual, team, and organization. And so to me, before the pandemic, we were all buckling under the weight of those 4 masks, because a command and control leadership style where you pretend you have it all figured out and you are perfect made sense when we had generals on the battlefield and corporate leaders for a manufacturing economy. In a services economy, the human is the product. Connections are what drive value. There's less connectivity in the world thanks to technology, so connections are even more paramount. And so we've been begging for this change. Forbes has all these articles. People are begging for authentic leaders. We just aren't getting them. And it's because they're terrified to take the mask off because the leaders before them showed them a different way and said, you'll fail if you do that. And they don't recognize that the world has completely changed. We want to follow real humans. We want to feel that connection. We want to see people lead themselves. And so this is giving them the excuse to challenge the paradigm that they inherited and actually look at it in a fundamentally different way. And so the people that are in our, every Monday night at 6 p.m. Central, we have a mask-free society meeting through Zoom. And I got people from Romania, Greece, New York, West Coast, like Canada, it does not matter. And anywhere from the boardroom to the mailroom, like all this
exactly.
is everybody. We just needed the external pressure as an excuse. I'm not saying the pandemic is a good thing for us, but there are benefits to external pressure. It leads you to challenge what you accept as the status quo.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm relating with everything you're saying as well, because that's one thing I pride myself off as, as a leader, being authentic, being the real me, and just being brutally honest in order to set the tone and inspire, my team to feel great and do great. Right. And I'm always relating back to my hockey past. I was a goalie, so I always had my mask on. Right. And now that mask is off and I'm playing a different sport. So I love this whole thing, Mike. I really do. Now, a couple last questions here. How do you believe, top level again, how do you believe great leadership affects company culture?
It dictates it. So, I mean, culture requires integrity. Culture needs to be consistent. And so one of the things when I'm coaching entrepreneurs that are building their first business is there's all this, great, you got to have core values and you got to have all this kind of stuff. I always tell them, why don't you hold off on the core values? Why don't you start building your business and then just lead by your personal value system? Because your personal value system will dictate your professional values, and you as CEO or leader or owner are going to dictate the values that everybody adheres to.
I love that. And it's true because I've always said that's been my approach as far as just setting the tone and just having this understanding that culture isn't something that you write down. It's not something you say, it's something you do. Right. And how you act, right. It's your actions. And I think I like that takeaway. And I think all the listeners, should really, focus in on that if you have personal values, let that be heard and let that be loud in how it dictates how you are as a leader, business owner, or manager. Like, for example, my personal values is I want to be reliable. I want to be focused. I want to be curious. I want to be energetic, right? And I'm going to bring those with me to my organization, and that will set the tone. And that will eventually be the DNA of the organization and culture of the organization. So I love that. So last question here, Mike. When and where can people get your book? Because I want a copy.
You can go to greatleaderbook.com.
Okay.
You can also text mask free to 33777, mask free to 33777, and we will actually send you an assessment that'll help you identify what mask is holding you back. And in our follow-up, we'll let you know where you can get the book so you can see why you want to read the book in the first place.
That's awesome, Michael. I really appreciate it. I know I'm going to do that right after this. I'm definitely going to order your book and consume that content. I love this conversation. Thank you so much for joining. Everyone listening, thanks for listening in. We're going to save this for 24 hours. We're also going to post this up on our YouTube within the next week or so, so people can watch it on demand. Michael, thank you. Everyone, stay safe, stay well, and have a great day. Thanks, Michael.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.